When I was in medical school, some colleague proposed that I be one of the presenters at a university event, and some of the people who thought that I wasn't the best choice for it used the size of my boobs as an argument.
I mean,
seriously, seriously, no joke. In a room with more
in a
than
room
one,
full of people, it wasn't just in their mind.
No, in a room full of people.
That person stood up, was
yes,
I object to this nomination.
Yes, they literally said, well, she is a good speaker, and I understand why you would like her as a presenter, but she does have rather small breasts, and the body is very important for a public speaking event at a medical school.
Did they also propose, did they also suggest a compromise in the sense that a person with the appropriate boobage would be the front-facing person and you would do the voiceover or something like that?
No, they did not propose that I Milli Vanilli the thing.
Yes. Splitting headache, and we're about to talk about an annoying tech bro. God help us.
I don't even know what he does except for being a douchebag, so... Well, I know his name, and is 𝕄𝕦𝕤𝕚𝕚, and if anybody who speaks Romanian listens, sometimes I have the humor of a kid in kindergarten, so I just love calling him 𝕄𝕦𝕤𝕚.
Yeah.
So I will just refer to him as 𝕄𝕦𝕤𝕚 for the duration of this podcast, because it's just funny.
Being petty is allowed here. So a while back, you called me and asked me, have you heard about the latest outrage in Romanian media regarding George 𝕄𝕦𝕤𝕚 and his brain farts regarding women's bodies? And I was like, probably not, because I don't have a TV. And also, while I do still have a Facebook account where I could learn all these interesting tidbits, I guess, it basically is surrounded by cobwebs at this point. I'm sure you're going to fill me in with all the details, but before we get into the weeds of the drama, which is, as I understand, largely related to body shaming and objectifying women and some yikesy takes on the desirability of young girls, or those who look like young girls at least. So the incident we're about to discuss is by no means singular in its occurrence or magnitude. There is plenty of brain rot in Romanian media, and most of it coming from people that are more influential than some wannabe tech bro. But I mean, what would you say are your reasons for us wanting to discuss this?
Well, my reasons honestly are a lot, because some of the main ideas have been discussed and rediscussed in the public sphere at that time, but I feel there are also a lot of, let's say, reasons in subsidiary that can be attached to it. My main reason for reacting at the time has been, as it probably is with all Homo sapiens, a personal reason. So always you get hit harder by things that hit closer to home. So
what, you mean we're not totally rational human beings?
I would argue that we are. I think it would be irrational to care first of things happening in Antarctica before you care about your own well-being. I find it very weird to think that this is emotional and not rational.
Logical.
I would love for the rational crowd to just be like, if you're about to be hit by a truck, but somebody's starving in Africa, please care about that first. I think it's completely rational to have bigger and stronger emotional reaction and attachments to things that relate more to you than your family and close friends, and starting from them you expand the circle, and by this it doesn't mean that you don't care about other people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and the main reason this discussion struck a chord for me is that I had many body shaming moments since I can remember, which might sound strange if you look at me, because I don't look like somebody who has any particular body issues.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are a woman with small boobs, well, this definitely is something that everybody, men and women and kids and adults, feel and felt since forever, it's okay to constantly comment on.
Also, if you have especially large other body
of
parts.
course. So I am I'm sure you get different shit for different occasions, of course. So pretty much since I was like in 5th grade, I started to realize that people comment on my body. And it's not necessarily even like, the men in my life. I didn't have a particularly strong male presence in my family. So one of the first culprits, let's say, was my aunt, my mom's sister. My aunt is a tailor. And despite the fact that, she loves me a lot, every time she made clothes for me, she would every single time comment on the fact that the size of my ass and the size of my boobs are out of balance.
You were killing her vibe.
I was totally
her
killing
sartorial vibe.
her sartorial vibe. Like every single time. And I was like, I know, you also know. So it's something you already expect when you make clothes for me. So what's the point? What could I do? Chop off my ass? I mean, I tried praying for bigger boobs. I guess prayer doesn't work.
And that's how you became an atheist.
That's how I became an atheist. Exactly. It started with boobs. If only God would have given me that one thing.
I think it must have been an interesting interaction because I've met your aunt and she seems like a really nice lady, but in a very menacing way.
Yes,
that's the way I would portray her.
Yes, she's very nice until you disagree with her. So, fast forward in life. When I was in medical school, some colleague proposed that I be one of the presenters at a university event. And some of the people who thought that I wasn't the best choice for it used the size of my boobs as an argument.
I mean,
seriously, seriously, no joke. In a room with more than
in a room
one,
full of people. It wasn't just in their mind.
No, in a room full of people.
That person stood up, was
I
object to this nomination.
Yes, they literally said, well, she is a good speaker, and I understand why you would like her as a presenter, but she does have rather small breasts, and the body is very important for a public speaking event at a medical school.
Did they also propose, did they also suggest a compromise in the sense that a person with the appropriate boobage would be the front-facing person and you would do the voiceover or something like that?
No, they did not propose that I Milli Vanilli the thing.
Yes.
I don't know if we have
bipartisanship. Compromise. This is
I don't know if people who listen to us are old enough to realize
Milli Vanilli.
The Milli Vanilli story. Anyway, if anybody's really young, just Google it, It was a big scandal back in the day when I was young and having boob problems. Yeah, so that was a thing. And one more example that stuck in my mind. I was having a conversation with a colleague about having children over the age of 40. And as, she was saying that it's really bad if you have kids when you are 40 or over. You won't have the same, ability to sustain, the, let's say, annoyance of kids and whatnot. And I said, hey, my mom had me at 39, so basically she was 40 by the time I was born. And, I turned out all right. And also I had a lot less issues with the interaction with my mom as opposed to some of my friends who had their mothers were 18 or 19 when they had them. The instant response.
Yes, but you have small boobs.
So the lesson being that if you have children when you are over 40, they might have small boobs. So beware. So this was one thing about the body shaming in my life was about the size of my boobs. And the other one was about my stretch marks. And this relates a lot with our story, with our bufnic dude. I got my stretch marks when I was 14. When I was 14, I was in 7th grade and I grew a lot in height. I reached my final height, the height that I have as an adult now, when I was 14. And because
I was there before you.
And because of that, because I grew a lot of centimeters in a very short period of time, I got stretch marks on my legs.
It was the same with me, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I guess this happened to a lot of people. I didn't have any sort of weight modification. Actually, my weight from 7th grade was the same weight I had in my second and third year in university. But since I was 14, I kept hearing this very, sometimes meant to be somehow well-meaning and sometimes just, random idiotic comments.
Hey, why do you look like a zebra?
Oh.
Yeah. And I was like,
why do you look like an asshole?
and somewhere around like the, I don't know, gajillion person who does that joke, you're like, man, I'm not even annoyed or angry because you are somehow disrespecting me. It's just that you're so bloody stupid.
And it's like a cringe overdose.
Yeah, I mean, I heard this fucking joke all my fucking life.
When they're trying to be mean or when they're trying to be like, ha ha ha, look at me, I'm a funny person. And you're like, ugh.
Anyway, so going from why do you look like a zebra to the options that were trying to somehow be considerate, I guess.
Caring about your well-being.
Caring about going like,
Oh, but you are such a good-looking girl. Have you considered doing something about your stretch marks?
It's like, you're pretty decent, but have you considered being better?
yes. So also questions like,
You look really good now, but you used to be fat, right?
no.
No, but then why do you have stretch marks?
And if at some point your answer is because fuck you, I hope you die in a ditch, people think you're overreacting and you're being emotional. I hope whatever you call a bunch of zebras just run you over. So despite not having any particular health issues, despite not having any particular weight issues, I felt my body constantly policed. So this subject is something that I feel very strongly about, especially because it took me quite a while to stop caring, to just be something that I would not remember 5 minutes after it happened.
Obviously, I also got all sorts of friendly observations regarding my body, and in my case, it was mostly focused on my derriere. But luckily enough, although I do remember being slightly, as you said, pissed off by the lack of originality of some of the remarks and jokes and things like that, I didn't mostly take it to heart, luckily. But it was just like honestly, come on, like it's fine. Like if I'm fine with it, it's nothing particularly, it wasn't anything spectacular. It was just like, oh, look at that, I don't know, peach, blah blah blah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, just ridiculous. I feel secondhand embarrassment.
Yeah.
So and also I think the most memorable thing for me, just again because of how embarrassing it was, I was walking on the street and like my former English teacher was behind us and I didn't know and I just heard her say,
Oh, Diana, well, you have a big ass.
and I was like,
okay,
so what? But I just felt so like,
why?
Yeah,
right. Like, what is the purpose of this statement?
Yeah, exactly. Like, you're a 50-something-year-old woman.
Yeah. So
like,
should I go make it smaller, bigger, wear a different dress? Like, at least, like, go somewhere with the statement.
Have a purpose to your malice.
Have a purpose to your malice. Exactly.
But I think, in a way, for me, this whole discussion is as someone who watches quite a lot of YouTube and video essays and stuff like that. Obviously, the topic of body shaming and assholes who do it is quite talked about.
Due to the obviously high frequency of the issue.
But obviously, as people from Romania, we also enjoy sort of curating the stupid and the malice that we see around us, because it's like the off-brand version of your Ben Shapiro's and Jordan Peterson's and Dennis Prager's Prager's and everything that we get here, in the sense that, whatever topic we're talking about, the assholes around here don't even try to be original or to make up talking points. They just scramble to, get whatever they've heard from mostly the US, but also the UK and things like that, and just try to wedge it inside the current Romanian context, which makes for a lot of hilarity, because when you hear someone saying things like, oh, you cannot even breathe because of political correctness in fucking Romania.
I mean,
this is just...
Yeah, I find this extremely amusing. Or when some of the people who try to take the talking points from America and they go like, in universities where there is all this, political correct liberals. And I'm like, I went to fucking university at medical school, and somewhere around, 70, if not more, of us going there were women. Were women, and our endocrinology teacher, he told us like at least once per course,
to make sure it sticks with you.
Yeah, to make sure we understand that women trying to have a career are lying to themselves, because from an endocrinological point, we do not have the equipment for doing anything else than having babies and being mothers.
Wonderful.
And we are basically we are handicapping ourselves and destroying our lives with this extremely borrowed from outside ideas of having a job, and especially being a doctor. And I'm like, where the fuck was the political correctness? And the same dude, he should not have been allowed anywhere in any sort of normal institution. The dude also had a severe paranoia. He was convinced at every exam that somehow people are cheating.
Of course.
So we would take our exams in his office, and he had an extremely small office. Only 3 people physically could fit into his office, and you couldn't enter with anything, like not papers, not pen, not anything.
Just your panties and the pen.
Yeah, and he would give you the papers and what to write on and your pen. And even with these precautions, sometimes he would just look at you and be like, you're cheating. I can see that you're cheating. And there have been instances where he made people strip down.
Oh my God.
Yeah, the year before me, one of the guys, he was stripped to his underpants with, other people there.
But there's no abuse by people in power. Yeah. It's only false claims and allegations.
Yeah. And everybody knew. And because a lot of people were at the end of the university years, and the only exam they didn't pass was endocrinology, because they knew his problems, they would make a committee of other teachers with the sole purpose of actually letting kids pass this exam, instead of fucking throwing him out of the fucking university. But please do tell me more about political correctness.
In the country where the former president very notoriously once insulted a journalist by shouting at her, "You're a stinking gypsy." And people were like, oh, that's kind of unpresidential. That was the most serious reaction. And even that was more like, oh, it's just not, the decor. Nobody was like, he's actually being...
Yeah, and he also said to a journalist in a conference when she asked a question, and his answer was like, if you bend over the table, I will tell you, I will show you.
Yeah.
I mean, this is our country.
Yeah. Okay, so now that we have the why, let's get into the what did he say? Because, of course, our main character is a man by the name of 𝕄𝕦𝕤𝕚𝕚𝕚. And as I understand, he's a YouTuber and podcaster who mainly covers tech. I also was sort of aware of his presence, but he's not someone I follow or care much about. And, the point of our discussion is not whatever his personal shortcomings are. We're talking about this because it's a good example of things that grind our gears. I'm not really concerned that our 5 listeners will go and brigade him. He's already been told off by a big sponsor, which is generally speaking the only argument some people will listen to. Oh, look at me, poisoning the well already. I'm so naughty. Anywho, the man had some thoughts about what he would like to see on our country's glorious sandy beaches this summer. Irina, can you fill us in with some details?
Of course, me being from Constanța, which is, city by the beach, I feel I'm highly qualified.
Romanian Acapulco.
Yeah. So the man was, I think somewhat drunk, and he was interviewed while being
under the influence.
Being under the influence and near a beach. And he was with his wife, and he decided to comment for some reason on the fact that when he goes to the beach, he wants to go and see some skin, some ass, and some boobs. And actually, in a way that sounds even worse if you say it in Romanian.
There are many burkinis on Romanian beaches. I assume that's why the man was concerned about the lack of skin showing.
And mostly
sarcasm.
Mostly it was about the fact that the skin showing was not to his liking. And that one of the things he said was, about women having stretch marks and how they should go more to the gym to get rid of stretch marks.
That's how you do it.
That's yes, and to get rid of cellulitis. Cellulite, I have no idea how.
Cellulitis, I think.
Cellulitis is definitely the medical term for a medical condition that is not what people think it is. And also, he took a moment to make everything worse by saying that women should strive to look underage like his wife. So
major Epstein alert there.
Yes, so as I said, I don't follow him or anything, but I didn't have any sort of pedo vibes, as he just thinks that this is something to say. I just think that the level of his stupidity is bottomless, a bottomless pit of just moronism.
I think we discussed this with other topics I don't know, xenophobia and racism. Yeah. We're not sociologists here. Yeah. We're just making a study of us two discussing. But as we've discussed, there's a sort of interesting twist to all these bad behaviors in Eastern Europe, in the sense that, obviously it's also driven by a sense of privilege, but it's more like the person who does the bad thing doesn't really usually do it with malice, or not with malice that they are aware of. Yes. And they just sort of go I'm a good person. This is just common sense.
Yes. We are extremely unaware of our malice and mostly unideological. I mean, mostly the men are just assholes. It's not like I have this, I don't know, man rights activist, or I'm an asshole. The end.
This is how you man in Eastern Europe.
This is how you man in Eastern Europe. Yes, and as I said, the man does not come across with pedo vibes. His wife is somewhat his age. There are no stories of him going after underage girls or even cheating on his wife. So it's just him being a piece of shit. And since, some people that weren't, his fans found out that he's breathing and took to looking at his social media, and what was striking actually more than him was his wife, because they noticed on her Facebook page that she did it several times over, different years, that she posted pictures of people at the beach, women at the beach, and commenting how can you, while looking like a whale, stay on the beach, and it was clearly something that the family was bonding over.
Yeah.
Being
girl bossing toxicity.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
It's very interesting, as you also mentioned about your family, usually being more heavily inclined toward the female presence, but also, never you worry, you still get the toxic
absolutely
behavior. This seems like a really strange argument of, I call it I'm totally a feminist, but also I am very angry or frustrated or annoyed by women that I perceive as being okay within their own bodies, and not conforming to beauty standards that also I understand are not exactly okay and healthy for all of us, but I, on the other hand, really stick to them. And why does this other person not stick to them and still feel like they can just, be a person on the beach?
In the world.
Yeah.
And a lot of my experience with other women is that they have a huge issue with women who are not womening the right way.
Yes.
There are things that they agree with and they will fight for those things because they like it, they want it, but get outside that and they will start the police brigade instantly. Yeah.
This is one of the things that makes me roll my eyes incredibly often. When I hear someone, for instance, who is either a woman or a man, who tells you that, oh, well, actually, if you want, for instance, people to have the freedom to either have kids or not have kids, to look a certain way or not, to so on and so forth. Obviously, they have a very clear opinion of how you should woman, how you should parent, how you should whatever. They tell you that you're not allowing me the freedom to, and I'm like, no, you can do,
whatever the fuck you want.
Yes, I mean, I don't feel like what you're doing is my vibe, but as long as you're not telling me I need to do that or feel bad for not doing it, you do you, boo.
And I would take that a step further. Sometimes I'm not even that bothered by the fact that they want to tell me what to do, as I am extremely baffled by the fact that they are attacked, that I do not live my life as they do, and they feel that my living my life without even knowing who the fuck they are is an affront to their choices.
Yeah.
And that is mind-blowing.
It's incredibly weird.
And yes, and also I happen to run into this with also close friend, because obviously the problems, like she had problems with her choices and instead of addressing them in any way, she chose to have 2 children and not work for a particularly long time. She wanted this, her husband supported her, she worked for a while, then she had kids, she didn't work for a time. At some point she decided to go back to work. I would think that, she should have been fucking happy because everything was her choice. She had the privilege of working or not working, but actually she continuously felt that me and some of our other friends in the group, that we are judging her, that we think that is not the right choice. And none of us ever expressed that, or for that matter, thought that.
And even if you would have, she would have had every right to be like, fuck you.
Yeah, sure.
You're wrong about this because this is how I feel like I have to proceed.
Yes, but she continuously felt judged without anybody saying anything. And, we didn't even do because of course you can do the passive-aggressive bullshit. But no, we just honestly didn't give a fuck. I mean, you have money, you feel safe, you feel secure enough in your husband providing the money that you don't think it might be a problem for you in the future, fine.
Yeah.
And this in comparison with another close friend of mine who made the same choices and actually ran into some issues, but she never felt judged. She felt sorry about some of her choices, but she never felt that somebody in the secret of their own house, but clearly some people actually have the issues around themselves and they project it in a very nasty way onto others.
Another thing that always cracks me up is that argument that, when someone fucks up, well, they were just stating an honest opinion. I don't know why you need to overreact like that. Freedom of expression or whatever, depending on
free speech.
Yeah, depending on how aware they are of this talking point. And it's like, I don't mean to make this about our mothers once again, but it's a bit like that. It's a bit like our moms sort of saying something that obviously upsets us and we communicate that to them. And then they realize they sort of have to apologize, but then they go like,
well, I didn't mean to hurt you, but that was just what I honestly felt.
And you should be understanding of that.
What bothers me is the conflation between private conversations and public conversation. Because if Bufnic would have been at a table with his friends and somebody would have secretly recorded him while he was drunk and talking shit, I would have honestly thought that the person who did the recording was a piece of shit. And, I am sure you can find moments when I say completely questionable things. Not even under the influence, because I've stopped drinking a long time ago. Yes, but it's true. It has happened, not in Romania, but it has happened, let's say in the United States, that private conversations have been taken and made public, and people started having all these opinions about something that they should have never known, and they would have never been hurt by that, and basically the hurt was caused by just making those things public.
I mean, obviously, I do agree with you. If the person saying the whatever problematic thing, their behavior doesn't come
across as that.
Yeah.
Yes,
so
of
if
course.
it's just like some stupid shit that
one time. Sure.
Yeah.
How it happened now with Bufnic is a lot of people, especially men, told me, yeah, like I said that one time when I was with my friends, and like, do you want to also tell me that?
Do you also want to cancel me?
Yeah, want to cancel me? And I'm like, can you not see the difference between me talking with a friend of mine at home and being like, well, this dude is stupid, or me, while having lots and lots of followers, being an extremely well-known figure in certain spheres, and going on a public, stage of some sort and being, this dude is stupid.
And also, you have also been kind of an asshole when you said that about the person you didn't even know and didn't bother you, and you were like, ha 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 ha, she fat. Like, are you going to be defending it and saying you're proud of it or whatever, or asking for sympathy for, like, yeah, sure, you were an asshole, nobody's going to tell you off because nobody saw you or whatever.
But I have to own up to the fact that I like to trash talk people a lot, not about their percentage of body fat, but I just find it funny, especially if somebody pisses me off, to trash talk them.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm at home with my husband and I trash talk, I don't know, the lady from the whatever,
no damage done.
And one of the things that made me so, confused was the fact that people did not understand the difference between speaking in public and speaking in private.
Mm-hmm.
And this idea that somehow if you talk about manners, because it's manners, it sounds so bourgeois or whatever, aristocratic, old stuff, whatever, but it's about manners. It's about having good manners. You go to somebody, you taste their food, you don't like it, and you say, yeah, thank you, I don't necessarily...
I ate at home.
And you don't just go like, what the fuck is this? Did you make this for the pigs? What the fuck are you serving me?
You don't go full Gordon Ramsay,
Yes.
That is absolute dog shit.
And if you tell people, like, how would you act? Like this or like that? And a lot of the people who were defending Bufnic actually are people who not act like this. And they realize in their own behavior that it's one thing to go home and be like, that fucking bitch annoyed me, and going to the person and tell them to their face, or going on television and saying the same thing. And one of the important things in this, let's say, whole debacle with Bufnic had to do with manners. And I feel strangely conservative about talking about having a talking point about manners. But in human interaction, manners matter.
Mm-hmm.
And no, all of your thoughts do not need to be spoken out loud all of the time, because we would all be fucking killing each other.
Yeah. and also going back a bit to the whole, what is my opinion? Why are you reacting to it?
Yeah.
This is so annoying. Like, okay, it's your opinion, and
keep it to yourself.
Keep it to yourself. Usually, if you know it's going to, because it's going to hurt that person.
Yeah.
And if you're like, still, no, this must be, this must be said. This needs to get out. Okay, then if you want to do that, get ready
for the backlash.
Yeah. And don't be surprised, and don't act like you're the victim and they've shut you down. But like, no, you know what you're doing at that point. You know that you're being hurtful. Going back to Bill Maher, he wants to be hurtful because he believes that this is the way that you can make people change that behavior that he deems not just unhealthy, he deems it immoral. Let's be honest.
Yes. And a lot of people actually think that people living in larger bodies, just existing somewhere, are promoting being fat.
Yes. It's like just me being being...
If I go to the beach while being fat, I'm promoting being fat.
It's the same reasoning as, oh, you're being, a happy and jolly gay person or trans person in the world. You are promoting being
gay.
Like literally,
yes.
You are promoting being straight by having weddings every weekend in the summer, right? With the whole taraf, la 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 la, and everything. And I'm still gay. So like obviously it doesn't work like that.
No, clearly not. And not every instance in which a person just exists while doing that, they're not promoting anything.
Yeah.
I mean, not even Nazis while being Nazis while eating are not, promoting Nazism while eating the hamburger. I mean,
it's not the Nazi eating the schnitzel that was terrible. It was all the other things they were doing for the rest of their day.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think this was one of the things that baffled me. The fact that a lot of people argued over their right to say shit in public spaces and not get any sort of backlash.
Mm-hmm.
And weirdly, when those people were somebody I actually knew and talked to them, and I was like, okay, so if you come to me personally and you just go like, ooh, that dress makes me not want to fuck you today, and I just respond with like, your small brain wants me to not want to fuck you every day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, just take it,
Then we could just spar with insults.
Yes, because I mean, I have some men around me who are like this. Like one of my colleagues who always, like, when he comes in the kitchen, if I'm eating a salad at work, he goes like, "Oh, you're eating canned food again," but he takes it for granted that an answer like, "Oh, so what's your small dick food today?" It's just a thing that we do, and you can feel it that it's not coming from a place that wants to hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
There are the people who do it especially to hurt you, and the other people who are extreme condescending assholes who just want to
I'm just concerned.
The concern. And have you noticed that you're fat? Like, yes, I've been fat 20 years. Roxane Gay, she's an author. She's a writer. And she has an extreme body size. She had some very traumatic teenage experiences, and her coping mechanism has been eating. Mm-hmm. So she had these problems with her body for a long time. And she was invited on Trevor Noah and talking about people who just feel the need to go like, but do you know you're fat? And she's like, I'm a fucking adult with a lot of degrees, like,
and mirrors in my house.
And what, do you think I didn't notice? Like, for the most of my life, you had to come and tell me today. I find this amazing.
And also, I find it so interesting that, well, by interesting I mean annoying, that with things pertaining to the body, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you're either overweight or underweight sometimes, because people are never satisfied. People feel like the fact that you're not working, as in making this your number one priority, just shows that you don't care, that you're lazy, that whatever. They never stop to think about the fact that that person that you think should, I don't know, lose weight, gain weight, whatever, maybe they just have other priorities. They're like, yeah, maybe I would like to change some things about my looks, but I also have to work on my mental health. Maybe I want to work on my career. Maybe I want to have a family, and all of these things come first, or they're further up my list. And then eventually, if I get to this, I guess. But like, no. Like, honey, now you have to focus on this.
Not just that. Most people who actually have an extreme body weight, most of them have been on a diet their whole life. Most of them have had that as their priority their whole life. And they didn't succeed because it's not that easy.
So this went on for a while, and I decided to be merciful, and instead of hitting you with a rather long episode that tries to cover several topics, I split this one up into 2 parts. So next time, we'll have another one of those Science for the People episodes, as we look at common misconceptions about the relationship between body sizes and overall health, changes in our approach to weight loss, as well as the challenges of conducting research within the field of nutritional science. Hope you've enjoyed this year's episode. If you did, and even if you didn't, I would greatly appreciate it if you would share, like, and subscribe, follow, and do whatever needs to be done. And see you next time. Bye.